Have you ever agreed to something you didn't want at all, just to avoid upsetting someone, smiled politely while your whole body tensed in silent protest, apologized even when you knew you were right? That heavy feeling inside you, it's not kindness, it's fear. A deep fear hiding behind the habit of being nice and agreeable. You might think you just want to be liked, but what if it goes deeper? What if you're dependent on approval and don't even realize it? What if you're bending yourself to others' expectations because facing the truth is terrifying? That being your real self means risking rejection. Worse, maybe your kindness has become a leash others now pull. Carl Jung called this the shadow, the hidden parts of ourselves we're afraid to show, the longing to be loved, the fear of being alone, the desire to scream, to resist, to say, I matter too. Instead of facing these feelings, we bury them. But the more we hide, the more we lose. We lose our boundaries, our strength, ourselves. Fear of rejection doesn't build stronger connections. It makes you vulnerable. People sense when you're wearing a mask and stop taking you seriously. The only way out is to become someone who doesn't need approval to feel worthy. Someone who knows their value, even in silence. Someone who can walk away and will when necessary. This video will show you how to recognize emotional dependency, understand where it comes from, and break the cycle, not by becoming harsh, but by becoming whole. This is not about fearlessness, it's about inner freedom. So how can you tell if you're lacking that freedom? What does dependency look like? Emotional dependency shows up not only in big life choices, but in everyday moments, like agreeing to something when you're tired or uncomfortable, just to avoid disappointing someone, sending an apology when you've done nothing wrong, just to keep the peace, adapting your opinions to match the group, even when it goes against your values, canceling your own plans to please someone else, not saying no even when it really matters to you. These may seem like small acts of kindness, but over time they add up to something bigger, a quiet erosion of your selfhood. You begin to suppress your fears, fear of rejection, of being mocked or abandoned. But as Jung wrote, when the shadow is repressed, it begins to control us from within. The shadow is made up of hidden parts of our psyche, fears, desires, traits we reject. If we don't acknowledge them, they don't go away. They simply take over in the background, shaping our behavior in ways we can't see. In trying to keep love and approval, we build a false self, a mask of being nice, good, pleasant. But the more we live behind that mask, the further we drift from our authentic selves. We lose touch with what we want, need, and truly feel. And what happens when pleasing others becomes not just a tendency, but a way of life? You stop acting from your own desires and start living to satisfy what you think others expect, not out of love, but fear. Fear that without approval, you're worthless. This is how emotional dependency forms, and when it becomes the foundation of a relationship, it turns into codependency. In codependent relationships, one person plays the role of the nice one to avoid being alone. They give everything, their time, energy, attention. Over time, they forget themselves behind a mask of kindness. The other person begins to take this kindness for granted. They may not be malicious, but they fall into the role of the taker, demanding more, giving less. The more they take, the less they respect or love the giver. Codependency isn't about love. It's a performance. Two people hiding behind masks to avoid being abandoned. These relationships can last for years, seeming close on the outside, But inside there's only anxiety, exhaustion, and blurred lines between me and them. True closeness doesn't begin with fear of losing someone. It begins with the strength to be yourself, and stepping out of the role is the first step to freedom. To free yourself, you need to understand where this fear comes from. Often the need for approval isn't just a bad habit, it's a survival strategy formed in childhood. If a child grows up in an environment where their sensitivity, emotions, or unique way of thinking are criticized, mocked, or ignored, they begin to believe something is wrong with them. They learn to shrink, to stay quiet, to avoid standing out. To earn love, they must earn approval. This is especially true for highly sensitive children. If that sensitivity meets emotional distance, criticism, or family instability, like constant arguments or emotional neglect, it can create anxious attachment. The child learns, to avoid abandonment, I must be convenient. They try to predict others' needs, hide their own, and become exactly what others want them to be. This creates the false self, a persona of the good, polite, easygoing person who avoids conflict at all costs. They fear being too much, too loud, too sad, too angry, too alive. They fear saying no. In their past, conflict meant danger, loss of love, punishment, silent withdrawal. So they bury anything that could cause rejection, anger, pain, doubt, spontaneity. Eventually, they believe this mask is their real identity. They live by others' expectations, choosing a safe career, a respectable partner, trying to be what's socially acceptable. They do what's right, not out of desire, but out of fear. Fear of not being wanted. British psychoanalyst Donald Winnicott called this the false self, a defense mechanism developed to survive in an unsafe environment. He wrote, "The false self develops when a person gives up authenticity to conform. The longer we play this role, the more we lose the sense that we are truly alive. If you're always trying to be kind, it may not be genuine kindness. It may be a dependency on the image of being good, a belief that you're only lovable if you're easy, agreeable, and selfless. Inside, a message takes root. I deserve love only if I don't cause trouble. This belief becomes law. Spontaneous desires, anger, sadness, anything that might create conflict gets pushed aside. Your ego chooses safety, but in doing so, you stop being yourself. Over time, an inner split begins to form. On the surface, there is kindness, softness, agreement, but inside, fatigue, irritation, suppressed anger, all of it gets pushed down and becomes part of the shadow, as Jung described. The tension builds, and the longer you try to be good, the more you feel like you're not living your own life. This image of the good person is a trap. It doesn't let you say no. It doesn't allow you to be vulnerable, tired, imperfect. It demands compliance, even when it hurts. This isn't real kindness, but a mask hiding the fear of being rejected. To return to yourself, you must dare to step outside that image. Ask yourself, what do I really want? And allow yourself, even for a moment, to be alive, not just appropriate. Living a life dictated by fear comes at a cost. It often leads to anxiety, apathy, and a deep sense of meaninglessness. When we invest too much in the mask of being the agreeable, well-liked person, something inside us starts to rebel. That something is the true self, banished into the shadow. Eventually, it demands to be seen. And when it does, we act out in ways that surprise even us. We lash out, self-sabotage, or fall into destructive habits. This isn't weakness, it's your real self trying to break through. Such a crisis often marks the beginning of awakening. What seems like a collapse can become the first step back home. In psychology, this is called the dark night of the soul, a phase when old roles fall apart, but a new path hasn't yet emerged. It's painful and confusing, but necessary, because in that darkness lies a chance to shed the false self and begin the journey toward individuation. Individuation, in Jung's theory, is a deep process of self-discovery and inner transformation. It begins with recognizing the mask you wear and uncovering the true desires and feelings you repressed in childhood. From an early age, we learn to hide parts of ourselves to gain love and acceptance from parents or society. These masks help us survive, but they often cut us off from our authentic selves. The process begins when a person experiences inner conflict, a crisis, emptiness, or anxiety that signals it's no longer possible to live by false roles. Jung called this a liminal space, where the old ways no longer work and new ones haven't yet formed. It's a disorienting place, but one that marks the beginning of change. On this path, it's essential to face and integrate the shadow, the parts of ourselves we deny or feel ashamed of. Accepting the shadow makes us more whole. We stop fighting ourselves and start living in harmony. Individuation is the journey of breaking free from others' expectations and learning to live in alignment with your true values and desires. Individuation isn't just a quest to find yourself. It's the active acceptance of every part of your being, leading to real freedom and emotional maturity. It's a journey from masks to authenticity, from dependency to autonomy. Jung's path of individuation can be compared to the myth of Theseus and the labyrinth. Theseus had to enter a dark and twisted maze where the Minotaur dwelled, a symbol of our repressed fears and hidden aspects of the self. To find his way out, he needed Ariadne's thread, a kind of inner compass that kept him grounded in the darkness. This thread represents the awareness and acceptance of your hidden desires and feelings. Without it, a person stays lost in their mental labyrinth, constantly misinterpreting their problems. They may think others are to blame, never realizing that the true source lies within. When Theseus finds the thread and follows it, he emerges transformed. In the same way, individuation is a process of moving through inner darkness to reclaim wholeness and the freedom to be fully yourself. The myth reminds us, finding your true self requires the courage to walk through the shadow. As you move through individuation, you meet your fears and suppressed emotions, but this path leads to freedom and wholeness. By recognizing and embracing what you once pushed away, you gain clarity about who you are and what you truly need. That clarity allows for deeper, more genuine relationships with both yourself and others. It's important to know, individuation is not a journey into isolation. It's a journey into freedom of choice. When you shed the masks and internalized expectations, you gain the ability to be sincere and open. Life begins to feel lighter. Anxiety lessens. You feel emotionally steadier and more rooted in your self-worth. The freedom you gain is the freedom to be yourself and to let others be who they are. And because of that, your relationships evolve. People are drawn to authenticity. You begin forming deeper, more meaningful connections. Though the path isn't easy, it leads to a richer, more harmonious life, and to real intimacy, both within and without. Once you start recognizing your patterns and how emotional dependency works in you, don't stop at awareness. Take action, small, consistent steps toward yourself. That's why we've created a simple yet powerful system of exercises to help you reconnect with your inner foundation. These practices rest on 3 principles: self-observation, to notice when and how you lose yourself; boundaries, to gently but firmly protect your space; and self-support, to stand by yourself even when it's hard or unfamiliar. Each exercise isn't magic. It's a tool to interrupt autopilot, reclaim choice, and rebuild your strength. Done regularly, they don't just help you fight dependency. They help you learn how to relate to yourself with honesty, respect, and true inner freedom. After you begin noticing your dependency and looking inward for support, it's time to reconnect with the one who needs you most, your inner child. This is the heart of the inner parent, or reparenting practice. It helps you build a new foundation of care, not from external praise, but from nurturing self-acceptance. Picture yourself as a child, especially at a moment when you felt scared, rejected, or dependent on someone's approval. See yourself through compassionate eyes. What would you say to that child? Maybe, "I'm here. You don't have to be perfect to be loved. You matter just as you are." If imagining is hard, try writing a letter, a gentle, warm message to that younger version of you. Over time, repeat this practice, especially when you feel the urge to please, shrink, or ignore your needs. It won't erase fear instantly, but it will begin to shift your inner voice from harsh to supportive. And that change is what gives you the strength to be yourself. If the inner parent helps you feel safe and cared for, then the meeting the shadow exercise is your way back to power. Often behind our need for approval hide suppressed feelings, fear, anger, envy, a hunger for attention or validation. We hide them because we were taught they were wrong, but by doing so we lose touch with who we really are. The shadow doesn't vanish, it waits to be seen. To begin this exercise, find a quiet place. Close your eyes and picture someone who represents your emotional dependence. It could be a real person from your past or a symbolic figure, someone in front of whom you always tried to be good, right, or needed. Now imagine a conversation with them. What do they want from you? What emotions do they bring up? What desires or traits do you suppress when they're present? Allow yourself to recognize these things without judgment. Maybe you long for approval. Maybe you feel anger. That's okay. Say to this image, either aloud or silently, "I see you. I will no longer hide myself. I now choose to be who I truly am, even if you don't approve." With each meeting, you reclaim your strength. You stop running from the shadow and begin to listen to it. Only by accepting the parts of yourself you once rejected can true healing begin. After this shadow encounter, continue your inner work with self-observation. This is the foundation of all transformation. Throughout the day, become aware of the moments you feel the urge to please. What do you feel? What thoughts arise? For instance, a desire to agree may come with anxiety like, "If I say no, I won't be loved." Jot these moments down. At night, take 5 minutes to reflect. What triggered fear or shame? How did you react? What could you have done differently? This practice helps you catch the exact moment when you're not acting from your own will. Over time, you'll see more clearly where care ends and dependence on others' opinions begins. After self-observation, the next step is learning to defend your boundaries. That doesn't mean being harsh. It means respecting yourself. Start small. Recall situations where you often say yes, but want to say no. Make a list, choose one, and give yourself permission to decline, gently but firmly. Sorry, I can't right now. This is your first micro no. Use I statements. Instead of saying, you don't respect me, say, I feel overwhelmed when I'm expected to. This reduces tension and makes your boundaries clear. Also reduce your need for external approval. Plan a small, specific request for help and allow yourself to be imperfect. Accept the support without over-explaining. Each no without guilt and each yes from the heart strengthens you. You stop playing the role of the pleasant one and reclaim your right to be authentic. Once you've begun setting boundaries, it's essential to notice and celebrate even the smallest wins. Once a day, or at least once a week, acknowledge what you did well. It could be something as small as saying no when you would have stayed silent, not justifying yourself or recognizing your feelings instead of ignoring them. Write it down. Thank yourself. These moments may seem minor, but they are the bricks of inner strength. You learn to see, I'm already changing, I'm already capable. Regular reflection builds a deeper connection with yourself and gives you strength to keep going, without harsh self-judgment, but with respect for your journey. If you feel stuck in emotionally painful relationships or burdened by constant anxiety and emptiness, this is not a reason for shame. It is a reason to seek support. A therapist or family counselor can help you uncover subtle but harmful patterns of behavior. Together you can explore the origins of your dependency, how your false self developed, and how to reconnect with your authentic self. Therapy won't hand you ready-made answers, but it will give you a safe space to be yourself, free from judgment. A specialist can guide you through difficult emotions, help you identify your needs, establish healthy boundaries, and strengthen your autonomy. Therapy is especially powerful in healing attachment wounds from childhood, where emotional dependency often takes root. Sometimes asking for help is the very first act of true freedom. Now imagine 3 months from now, or 6. You no longer spend so much energy trying to please, impress, or earn attention. You breathe easier. You feel closer to yourself. You've started noticing your emotions and understanding what you actually want. Saying no to what doesn't fit and yes to what matters comes more naturally. There's less anxiety, less tension, less guilt. Instead, there's a growing sense of inner grounding, a quiet knowing that you can handle life. You're no longer afraid to be yourself, and your relationships have started to shift. Less pressure, more honesty. You're no longer performing or trying to be nice. You simply are, alive, real. And that's enough. This path isn't easy, but you've already started, which means ahead lies not just hardship, but genuine freedom. You're becoming someone who can be close to others without losing themselves, who can live not by should, but by what truly matters to them. As you build your inner independence, many things in life begin to change. Most importantly, the constant tension from trying to conform begins to ease. You stop asking, is this the right thing to do? And start asking, is this right for me? You become more honest with yourself. There's a new sense of grounding, inside, not out there. This doesn't make you cold or distant. On the contrary, it gives you more energy for genuine connection because you're no longer afraid to be yourself. Others begin to respect you more too. When you respect yourself, people feel it. Your mood no longer depends on someone else's opinion. You feel calmer. Most importantly, you know you don't have to live someone else's life. You can begin the path back to yourself right now with one small step. You don't need to be perfect or wait for the right time. Just choose one action. Say a sincere no, write down your feelings, or support yourself in a hard moment. That's how freedom begins. And the sooner you start, the sooner you'll feel it. You truly can rely on yourself. If you're ready to face your shadow and start breaking free from emotional dependence, let us know in the comments. Subscribe and leave a like so we can keep exploring self-awareness and inner strength together. Share this video with someone, it might help. Free your mind, face the truth, reclaim your power.